The Paddy Power Half Hour on OTB Sports. Minimal contact in stadiums. That shouldn't stop the usual suspects from going down. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
And you are very welcome along to this week's edition of the Paddy Power Half Hour. Where else would you be on a Friday afternoon except right here across all of our social channels? We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Periscope, we're on OTB Sports Radio. Bang on, 1:30 every Friday afternoon, picking our way through the carcass of the weekend's Premier League games. I'm delighted to say, as ever, we have Emmet O'Keefe with us from Paddy Power. Emmet, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Good afternoon, Ger. Looking forward to another weekend on the couch watching football.
Yeah, well, what else are we ever going to do with our lives? Certainly that's all we're going to be doing to the end of the Premier League season, it looks like anyway. And broadcasting from his YouTube lair, calling it as usual, is Enda Coll. How are you?
Ger, how's it going? This is the first week that I'm actually doing it from the YouTube layer, and you're correct in your statement.
You used to have like a green screen in the background, but obviously, you know, times are tough and you had to, I don't know, maybe you're in Texas, you had to burn it to stay warm. I don't know. I don't even know what part of the world you're in anymore, Enda.
I'm in fancy Ranelagh, and my house is so tiny that I actually can't fit the green screen in my room anymore. So I had to scrap it. So you're getting a nice shot off my door there. So it's not the best YouTube studio in the world, but it does a job.
Posh Southsider Enda Coll, far from his Donegal roots.
Rugby Road and around the corner from the cricket club, right where I should be.
Well, there you go. Okay, look, there's quite a lot of good Premier League games for us to get our teeth stuck into this week. But before we do all that, we have some incredibly important news for all of you out there who, you know, might occasionally lose a bet. I want to tell you about what's happening. This is the launch today, so anytime you're making a bet over the next week or so, make sure you pay attention, because on next week's show, we will actually be activating this. It's called Near Miss. It does exactly what it says in the tin. If you have a single bet or an accumulator with Paddy Power, and it's fallen down because of a dodgy VAR decision, because somebody's armpit was offside, or because there was a foot playing the entire, stud of a foot playing the entire team onside, then don't worry, because Near Miss is going to refund the losing stake back to your account. Every week, our crack team are going to select a bunch of winners, so it's not just one. Most of you are going to get your stake refunded back into your account, but this is the best part. For some lucky punters, we're going to pay out losing bets as winners if our Dodgy Goals panel believes that they actually deserved it. To enter, all you need to do, after your bet doesn't come off, take a screen grab of your losing bet, be sure to include the bet slip ID, and then send them either using the hashtag PPNearMiss on Twitter, or you can DM us on Instagram. I know some of you aren't on Twitter and you're only on Instagram, and you know, you're hipsters, that's okay. You can send your screen grab to us on WhatsApp as well. That's the number that we always give out, 087 9 180 180, and we will do the rest. So every Friday, at the end of the Paddy Power Half Hour, we will announce our near miss winners. You can see all the terms and conditions on otbsports.com, and stay tuned to OTB Social for more. So this is a brand new segment aimed at allowing some of you to reclaim a losing bet stake. And I think we've explained that pretty well, but if you have any questions for us, you can WhatsApp us 0879 180 180. Okay, let's get into the fixtures this week. Wolves versus Leeds tonight at 8 o'clock. On Saturday, there are 4 games. Southampton against Chelsea at 12:30. Burnley against West Brom at 3 o'clock. It's Liverpool against Everton at 5:30. Fulham against Sheffield United. West Ham versus Spurs is 12 o'clock. Aston Villa against Leicester is kicking off at 2:05. Arsenal against Man City kicks off at 4:30, and Manchester United against Newcastle is 5 o'clock. And then we're going to spend the whole show doing half an hour on Brighton against Crystal Palace on Monday night, because that's what you deserve in this lockdown. Oh, no, don't worry. We're not going to do that at all. We might barely mention that at the end of the show, because we all know that Brighton are going to win that game 1-0. In the meantime, what were our specials last week, Enda?
We had a couple of specials, but none of them came off, so I'm going to skim past what we had last week and get straight into. We had one a couple of weeks ago that might be of interest now, because we had Leicester to finish ahead of Liverpool, and I think it was close enough to favouring Liverpool in that sense. But what is it now, Emmet? Has it changed?
Yeah, so at the start of December, this would have been 12-1, but now it's as short as 11-10. With Liverpool only narrowly favoured to finish ahead of Leicester now.
Yeah, so that's the sort of expertise you're getting here. 12-1 a couple of months ago, and
did you? Sorry, you're making it sound there, and like you recommended it at 12-1.
I did recommend it. It was one of our Paddy Power specials.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah.
If you listen to us every week, you'll get these Paddy Power specials. That's a couple of big ones now we've had pre-Christmas.
But this hasn't come through yet. Don't be counting those chickens. You're spending money you don't have. That's like, no, come on.
And Enda really can't lose though, because if the bet wins, he can claim it as a victory, and if the bet loses, he can just slag off Brendan Rodgers.
It's true. How did Brendan Rodgers do last weekend? What happened there? What was the?
He did exactly what I wanted him to do. He won the game.
I mean,
finally,
he did exactly what you didn't want him to do. Yeah. The imaginary pressure. He must have felt just like the beady eye of Sauron. He's like, "What? Enda Coll's looking at me again. How can he see me?"
Some say
I'm in my
they
panic
had
room.
They had that pinned up in the wall, and that's what happened. James Madison gave a name drop after the match. This week's Paddy Power specials with Off the Ball are Man City to get a penalty against Arsenal, because Man City are the new penalty experts in the Premier League, except they can't score them. Everton to score 2 or more goals against Liverpool, and there to be more away wins in the league this weekend than home wins.
Okay.
So,
did we not learn our lesson from going hyper-specific over the last 3 or 4 weeks, Enda? Do we need? Why do we need to have these conversations on air? You need to go more broad. Your 12-1 was like this long form. All the great stuff before Christmas was like thinking long form. Now you're thinking like within this 5-minute period, the referee will scratch his arse 3 times. I'm like, and funny enough, it doesn't happen.
Look, a couple of them have come off in the last couple of weeks, so there's actually a method to the madness. So Man City are the team in the second, if you count the amount of penalties they've gotten this year. They've gotten 7. They've only scored 4 of them. Everton to score 2 or more goals against Liverpool this weekend. Obviously, Liverpool are in a bit of a weird form, but Everton have the best shot conversion rate in the Premier League this year, and they're in good form in the last couple of weeks. So there is method behind this. So I'm hoping that the specific ones start to pay out eventually. So those are the 3 bets anyway. Emmet, how are they looking?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, yes, it's only Leicester have had more penalties than City, and we're 11-4 on Man City to attempt a penalty this weekend. With Everton, we're 3-1 on them to score two or more goals. Just one thing to watch with that bet would be the odds of that will definitely increase if Dominic Calvert-Lewin can't play. And then we're 5-2 on more away wins than home wins this weekend. We'd probably expect around maybe four home wins and maybe 3 away wins. And just on the Man City penalties angle, we actually paid out last week on the OTB special on Ederson to score a penalty as a kind of a preview of what we'll be trying to offer with the near miss specials. There was a feeling among us that it was quite an unlucky loss, given that Ederson kind of came to the halfway line, only being kind of told to go back by Bernardo Silva. So I think anyone who backed him will be kind of feeling lucky.
Ederson needs to grow up here, and Enda, you need to stop whatever it is that you're doing, because
it was so close. I was watching the TV with my mouth wide open as Ederson strolled up to the halfway line. I genuinely thought he was going to take it, and I was opening my computer ready to clip you slagging me off for having Ederson in that bet.
My religion teacher, when we would sit arguing in fourth year, would always tell me a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. I always took that as a bit of a compliment, but I have to say the same thing to you. And your Everton have the best shot conversion rate in the Premier League. That's because Everton don't take any bloody shots. They only take the shot on when they're right in front of the goal. Their XG is one of the worst in the league. What are you doing with this? There's no way they're going to score 2 or more goals.
We'll see, Jeremy.
Okay, we will see. Okay, I just need to tell you about the games that we have live. Aston Villa against Leicester City, 2:00 on Sunday. As I said, 2:05 kickoff. Brian Kerr alongside Nathan Murphy for that one, and it's Vinnie Perth alongside Stephen Doyle for Arsenal against Manchester City at 4:30. You'll hear both of those games live on Sunday afternoon with Joe and the rest of the team on Off the Ball on News Talk. Now let's get into the first game. Tonight it's Wolves against Leeds. Enda's going to talk us through this one. 43% have faith in Wolves, 57%. The Leeds fans were out on Instagram in the last 24 hours, but they must be wrong, Enda, right?
I don't know about that. This is the first Friday night fixture we've had for a while, and it should be it should always be on a Friday night. You should always have a game like this coming up that you're looking forward to. And I wouldn't say that they're being overly optimistic with Leeds, because Leeds are in good form and Wolves have been so inconsistent this year that it's hard to really judge where they're at. One thing that is interesting about Wolves, and it might play into the odds, so I'll ask Emmet about this after I've done, is the fact that these two teams are almost complete opposites when it comes to the amount of goals scored in their games. So 17 of Wolves' games have ended with 2 goals or less, and the last 5 Leeds games have all ended with more than 2 goals. Leeds have scored 40 goals, conceded 42 goals, so there's a lot of goals in their games. Completely opposite in Wolves' games. They're always low scoring. So I think there could be value in an over 2.5 goals in this game because of Wolves' defensive record and because of their record this year and because of Leeds' record in the amount of goals they score. So, Emmet, I don't know if that's matching up.
I totally agree with you, and just to add to that, I think just one of the main advantages of being able to watch every Premier League game this year is be able to watch as many Leeds matches as possible. Only the current top four in the Premier League and Liverpool have scored more than Leeds, with only West Brom have conceded more than them, as their expected goal statistics be very, very similar, and even give the game probably a more open feel. They'll be missing Calvin Phillips, their holding midfielder. And I think, Marcelo Bielsa asks a lot of the holding midfielder, given the numbers they commit forward in attack. The holding midfielder is kind of asked to put out a lot of fires, and Phillips has done that expertly. We just seen him get an England call up, and I think I expect an open game here, and Leeds' style can coax an open game out of Wolves, and I would recommend the over 2.5 goals here.
Okay, what kind of prices are we looking at?
We're looking at 5 to 6 for that, but I wouldn't put anyone off over 3.5 as well. I can see this being quite an exciting game.
Okay, all right. Southampton against Chelsea. This one is Saturday at 12:30. It is 18% for the Saints on Instagram and 82% for Chelsea. And I'm saying get on board the Tuchelwagen right now, because Chelsea are absolutely killing it. Again, it pays to have an adult in the room when you've got all that talent that they've acquired. Chelsea are going to win this game to 0. Southampton, 5th worst attacking XG in the league. Chelsea defensively a rock under Tuchel. I think it's 4 clean sheets in his first 5 games. They're coming off a 2-0 win over Newcastle last week. Werner finally scored. Maybe there is a surge in confidence from that as well. I don't think that they're going to be distracted at all by European football. And I know that's a concern that you have, but I just think that this is it. This is Chelsea, I think, could finish this season second.
Yeah, I agree with you in that. They're in serious form, and it's kind of like what you said. It's putting an adult at the wheel of a very, very talented squad. So I think the way that they're buying into Tuchel's plan and the way that they're playing over the last couple of weeks, and Werner scoring the most scrappiest goals, and it plays into that old cliche, he just needed one of those to go in, and it should open the floodgates now. So I think we'll see him improving over the next few weeks as well.
Okay, Emmet, what's the prices on this?
Yeah, so Southampton 15-4, the draw 27-10, and Chelsea 7-10. Just to add to your kind of point about Chelsea's defensive improvement, in the 5 league matches Tuchel has had, teams are averaging under 2 shots on target a game against them. For context, Man City lead the league in that category with 2 shots on target conceded per game. Obviously, those statistics have come against poor opposition, so it's going to be intriguing to see how they fare against a decent Southampton side, and especially against Atletico Madrid and Simeone
yeah, fair enough about Atletico. I don't know if this is a decent Southampton side. Since they beat Liverpool, their league form, lost, won, lost. That's not decent form. That's like getting sacked for them.
They would have had a few injuries in some of those games, but I think they're capable of being decent anyway.
Chelsea 7-10 on, that seems like a reasonable price. Betting on odds-on favourites away from home is never a good long-term strategy for punters, but I like the look of that one. Anyway, quickly, next is Burnley West Brom, I think.
Yeah, Burnley West Brom, and I mean, can you get more of a This Is England type fixture than Sean Dyche Burnley versus Sam Allardyce's West Brom? And this is one of the things that I just hate about the Premier League, is that people just fail to admit that these fixtures exist. And like Saturday's 3 p.m, go out for a walk if it's dry, if you can, because this is going to be an absolutely putrid game. West Brom have conceded 55 goals this year, Jeff. That is absolutely remarkable for a side that are supposed to be defensively solid, and all their game plan is almost set up to be defensively sound, and they've conceded the most amount of goals this year. They're on course maybe to even come close to Derby in 07-08. So that's how bad they've been. But in terms of Burnley, yeah, like both teams to score, or even just scoring in this game, Burnley have failed to score in 52% of their games this year. West Brom are the same, they're 51%, just one game more for Burnley that they haven't scored in. So surely this has a 0-0 draw written all over it, or at least a 1-0 scrappy win for Burnley.
Early red cards and several goals going in for whoever doesn't get the man sent off. I mean, 0-0 maybe is the right bet here, I don't know.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't put you off that. The match prices are Burnley, it evens, 9-4 the draw, and 14-5 West Brom. Yeah, not much to say here. It's obviously not the most interesting game, but
Well, let's skip on. Go on.
Yeah, I'm a little interested to see how West Brom fare, because they did outplay Man United last week. They had the better chances in that game, and they've probably brought in a couple of players in January, so they might be a little bit better than in previous weeks.
Before we move on, Ger, more interesting, if you want to keep yourself entertained for this game, who do you think would win in a fight, Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce?
Sean Dyche, what are you talking about? He's like 30 years younger.
For sure.
Definitely Big Sam.
No, Big Sam in his like heyday kind of, what's that scene where the two lads wrestle from that old English movie? They're like very, what's his name? Oliver Reed, and yeah, the two lads oiled up wrestling. $9.99 pay-per-view, no $3.99 here. Liverpool against Everton next, before we go completely off track. Too late, isn't it? 71% for Liverpool on Instagram, 29% for Everton. I didn't know we had 29% Instagram Everton fans. I think that Everton are on the precipice of a significant crash. What do you think here, Enda?
I'm not too sure about that. I mean, they've got Calvert-Lewin may be out injured for this. We're unsure of that yet. We'll find out from Ancelotti today probably. But Everton are pretty good form. I mean, except for the Man City game during the week, they've been pretty impressive. And
Fulham not beaten?
Again, you're looking at this game, and it's been so long since Everton have won a game against Liverpool. It's 10, 11 years now. So they need to get past this phase of being the 6th to 7th best team in the Premier League, and Ancelotti's trying to change that mindset. So I think this might be a good chance for them to do it, to kick Liverpool when they're down. And I know Liverpool won the Champions League during the week, but that actually might play into their hands because they had to play their full strength squad. So I think Everton have as good a chance as anybody in this game.
Well, look, the table has Everton, as we know, 3 points behind Liverpool, and they have a game in hand. So if they were to win this, it would be the opportunity for them to catapult themselves above Liverpool. And that would be a great season for Everton, no matter where Liverpool actually finish. But the XG, right? Everton are 14th in Infogoal's XG table. That's not a good team. That means their underlying process is bad. That means that actually at some point this is all going to go pear-shaped for them. And maybe it's been Calvert-Lewin holding them together with his goals in the early part of the season, but his form isn't great at the moment. And if you get beaten by Fulham, I don't think you can say you're a good team. The great John Giles last night on Thursday Night Football with John Giles said, I know why Liverpool lost those games, because the goalkeeper made mistakes. The goalkeeper's a really good player. He's going to get his form back. Liverpool are going to improve, and I think things are going to go tits up for Everton over the course of the rest of the season. Emmet.
Yeah, so just the prices here. Yeah, Liverpool 4-9, the draw 7-2, Everton 11-2. As you said, those XG statistics are the reason why Liverpool's price is so short. You know, their recent form mightn't have been that good. I'm not sure how many of the listeners are watching. Fulham v Everton at 7 p.m. on Valentine's Day was utter domination from Fulham, but Everton didn't manage a shot on target till the 76th minute. And one of those games you really felt the crowd was missed. In terms of bet for this game, I think Mo Salah looks a strong bet to score any time at 5-6 or first at 11-4. He scored 5 goals in his last 5 games in all competitions. And as I probably mentioned earlier in the season, he's actually quietly, I think, having his best season in Liverpool shirt. He's already 24 goals all competitions, and his build-up play is noticeably improved. He's having 25% more passes this season, and his pass completion percentage has shot up by nearly 10%, which is a really significant improvement, given he would often give the ball away in years past. I don't think it's necessarily a product of Thiago arriving, as Mane's passing statistics haven't improved really.
Okay. And you think that there's a good chance that Everton are going to score 2 or more goals in this game? I think you're mad.
No, well, I do think that has the potential to come through, because the way that Liverpool's defence is set up and the way that Everton have gotten forward and torn teams apart at stages. Again, this all depends on Calvert-Lewin's fitness, because that's going to change the thing a lot if he's not fit. One thing that I do think is a good thing to look out for in this is the bookings, and it's somewhere you can with Paddy Power, with your bet builder, you can actually add different multiples together. So I think if Thiago, look at Liverpool's starting lineup, if Thiago is starting midfield or Henderson is starting centre back, the two of them to get booked, or stick one of them to get booked as well, it'll take your odds up a little bit on your bet. So I think there's been a lot of yellow cards, red cards in this fixture, so I think that's a good bet as well to add on.
And some missing red cards, obviously, famously after the last one. And I do think that Liverpool will feel like they owe Everton for the absolute carnage that Everton and Pickford in particular have managed to wreak on Liverpool's season. Let's move on. Fulham against Sheffield United Saturday at 8 o'clock. It's very hard to pick a winner here. Our Instagram poll has Fulham 62%, Sheffield United 38%. I would bet on there being a few enough goals in this game. Sheffield United obviously hammered by West Ham last time out, but it's the first time in a while that they've been hammered. They've been in most games, and they've obviously gone on their best run of form over the last 7 games. 3 wins in their last 7. Fulham have just 3 wins over the course of the entire season. And yet, you need to look at the table. Fulham have drawn a lot of games, and they're just 6 points behind Newcastle. And if they were to win this, then the pressure on Steve Bruce gets absolutely ratcheted up. And I think the Steve Bruce to get sacked odds are probably worth a bit of a nibble again around about now. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I don't have much of a feel for it. So I'm thinking under 2.5 goals gives you an interest in it. But I'm not going hard and heavy on either Fulham or Sheffield United.
Yeah, hard to have much confidence here on either side. The match price are Fulham 23-20, the draw 21-10, and Sheffield United 13-5. But I just think the John Egan injuries, it looks to be a serious injury, as I think is a real death blow for Sheffield United. That they were already missing Jack O'Connell, and the defence was the real strength of their team last year. I think we're starting to see as well how miraculous job Chris Wilder did last season, having them close to the European places with the likes of Billy Sharp and Oliver McBurney up front. I wouldn't put anyone off Fulham here even though it's a shortish price. I think like their expected goal statistics are that of a team closer to mid-table, and they have actually been playing quite well for a while. So I think Fulham a reasonable betting proposition here.
Okay, West Ham against Spurs on Sunday at high noon. Moyes 62%, Mourinho 38%. He's friendless. Everybody hates him.
The former Manchester United manager rivalry, is that what you could call it? The derby between the failed Manchester United managers, and I think that
it's officially a repechage because they're both shite.
Okay, well, that's harsh on Moisey, who's taken West Ham into the top 4. I mean, I think West Ham are favourites for this game because Tottenham's form has not been on what you would expect from a Mourinho side or Mourinho's Tottenham from the start of the year. And I think injuries have a lot to do with that. Defensively, they haven't been strong as well. So if Mourinho's defence isn't strong, then their teams don't win, and that's just the way it is. He builds from the back up. West Ham have been excellent going forward under Moyes this year, and it's almost like a counter copy of his Everton side with Souček acting as the Fellaini role, and players like Jesse Lingard coming in and just adding a little bit more pace and dynamic. Ben Rama starting to play to the player that we saw with Brentford last season as well. So they're really exciting. They've only failed to score in one of their games this season, so I think that they will score. One thing to look out for in this is Harry Kane. If he does start, because I know his fitness has been in and out, he scored in 11 of 15 games against West Ham. So him to score and both teams Harry Kane to score any time and both teams to score in this could be a good bet.
Souček's Tim Cahill, right?
No, Souček is Fellaini, the player that you all think is a centre back, but actually you could play him up front and he'd do the job for you.
Is he not like a scoring headers Tim Cahill style? Okay, whatever. But anyway, did you mention Jesse Lingard? And what the hell? How all of a sudden has he become world class? What's going on?
Well, he's a young player who's been developing over the last 10 years. So, Jesse Lingard,
young Jesse.
I think we all felt that he had this form in him. He's not a Manchester United.
I did not feel he had this form in him. I did not think he was going to be running games.
But you're judging him based on being a Manchester United player, and that comes with a different tag than being a West Ham player. So I think that is definitely helping him. It's much easier to be a good player when you're fighting for 7th place in the Premier League than it is for fighting for titles. So I think he's found his level with West Ham and he will excel in that role.
Top 4, it may well be at the end of the Premier League season. We'll see. Certainly if they get a win in this, they'll start to believe that they have a chance of top 4. What are the odds saying for this game?
Yeah, so West Ham are 13-8, the draw 9-4, and Tottenham 13-8. Yeah, so Mourinho's currently 7-4 in the sack race, and this really feels like a real crossroads match for Spurs. Like, they're 6 points off the Champions League places with the game in hand. They're one of the favourites to the Europa League and in the League Cup final. So a kind of a really positive season where they win at least one trophy as well within their grasp. But if they were to lose to West Ham, there have been murmurs of discontent in the dressing room, and you wouldn't bet against a collapse and Mourinho leaving before the end of the season. So I think Spurs this is a really, really key game for Spurs.
Do you have the rest of the sack race odds there, or just his price?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've see now. Yeah, Mourinho's 7-4. No manager to leave for the rest of the season is 4-1. Roy Hodgson 11-2. Jurgen Klopp 11-2. Steve Bruce 8-1, Sam
Wow.
Allardyce 12-1, and Nuno Espirito Santo 16-1.
I think Bruce, I mean, maybe because they're so tight at Newcastle, they're not going to sack him, but I think that there's a good chance if the relegation pressure continues to ratchet up. Let's move on. Aston Villa against Leicester. So this is Villa 27%, Leicester 73%. And, you know, look, obviously it would be incredible for Villa to win this again, because that would be them doing the double on Leicester this season. Villa beat them 1-0 with a late Ross Barkley goal in October. It'd be a huge result for them. I don't think they can do it. Leicester have won 8 out of 12 on the road. They've got the 4th best XG process in the league. Villa's form since the entire squad got COVID has not been great, and so I think they were pretty lucky to get the draw against Brighton during the week. And I would not be surprised if Leicester were to win this, Emmet.
Yeah, I totally agree. Aston Villa are 9-5, the draw 12-5, and Leicester 7-5. As you kind of mentioned about the Brighton game, Emiliano Martinez was the real star of the show. He made 9 saves to keep a kind of dominant Brighton team at bay. Only Ederson and Nick Pope have a better save percentage than Martinez, and I think he's clearly outperformed Bert Leno this season, and I think will be a candidate for the Premier League Team of the Year. Despite the talent in both attacks, I can see this being kind of a low-scoring game with probably two teams best suited to playing the counter-attack.
Yeah, a Leicester-Chelsea double this weekend, I think. I like the sound of that. Next one is Arsenal against Manchester City on Sunday at 4:30. Enda, what's the crack with this one?
Yeah, a game that used to be a top 4 battle, but now it's almost like a mid-table side. And Arsenal are kind of playing like a mid-table side this year with their inconsistency. So I think this is a fairly standard one. I think the odds or the Instagram poll are probably agreeing with this. Like, Man City's run of form. Everyone's talking about it. They're 10 points ahead now. They've got their game in hand played, and they are just absolutely dominating the Premier League. 14 clean sheets this year, Ger, and Arsenal are not scoring a lot of goals. Arsenal are a team that are actually quite defensive under Arteta, which is surprising. So I think one thing to look out for in this might be Man City to win to 0, because they're so good defensively. They're absolutely annihilating teams going forward now. So I don't think Arsenal have the capabilities to even contend with Man City this weekend.
Is that a bet that you just find on the site, to win to 0? Is that how it's described?
Exactly that. Yeah. So that if you should find it if you scroll down the page. It's currently priced at 13-8. And the match price of this game are Arsenal 5-1, the draw 10-3, and Man City 1-2. I actually can see a competitive game here. The first thing is to say I could see City resting a few players with the Mönchengladbach game in midweek. The league is basically wrapped up for City now, and winning the Champions League is the holy grail for Guardiola and the club. And I'm surprised to say this, given how goal shy earlier in the season, but I'm starting to really like the look of this Arsenal attack. I thought they were very, very good against Benfica and should clearly have won the game. They have some real creativity in the attacking midfield positions with Emile Smith-Rowe and Martin Odegaard to supply Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's runs in behind. Bukayo Saka, I think, is really emerging as one of the better young players in England, and I'm also a big fan of Gabriel Martinelli, who's a useful option off the bench. Added to that, Kieran Tierney returns, and I think no fullback makes a bigger difference to their team. And then Tierney, given his replacement isn't that great. Usually when pundits, I think, say a team in transition, it's a euphemism for saying the team is basically rubbish. But I think Arsenal are actually genuinely in a state of positive transition. Okay,
so you're not giving them a chance of winning this game, are you?
I think I could see them being competitive. Maybe if they lose, I think it'll be only maybe by goal. I expect Arsenal to play well here.
Okay, all right. Manchester United against Newcastle on Sunday at 7 o'clock. 82% of our Instagram poll respondents are plumping for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, still without a new contract, and Steve Bruce. 18% of you think Newcastle's going to win this game. What football are you guys watching?
Yeah, it's not looking good for Newcastle and Steve Bruce. They've steady decline, and this is what happens when you base your team solely on defending and not scoring many goals at all. It eventually catches up with you, because teams will figure you out, they'll unpick your lock, and then you can't transition into attack and actually score any goals against them. That's what's happened to Newcastle. Man United are the opposite this year, and surprisingly I didn't think their attack would like, if you're breaking down the individual stats for the strikers, it's not that great if you look at Martial, Rashford, Greenwood in their entirety, but add it all up and Man United have the highest goal tally this year. So I think this is going to be an easy one for them, Ger. Attacking force against Newcastle's defence. Yeah, it's going to be a United win.
Yeah, maybe it's my kind of fandom colouring my judgment, but I am actually a little bit worried about this game. So the match prices are Man United 1-4, the draw 9-2, and Newcastle 9-1. Just United, I can't describe how really bad United were against West Brom, creating very few chances against a team sitting deep. And the thing is, when teams sit deep, the players that can really affect the game, Paul Pogba and Edson Cavani, are both probably going to miss this game. And as bad as Newcastle are, I can see them with Almiron and St. Maximin causing a few problems for United in the break. So I probably wouldn't include United in any kind of weekend accumulators. And at the other end of the pitch, only Alex McCarthy of Southampton has a worse save percentage than David De Gea. And it's only really his big contract keeping him in the team. And it's surely only a matter of time before Dean Henderson gets an extended run.
They really just need to get rid of him however they possibly can, because it's completely ruining what everybody else at the club expects to earn. It was a stupid contract. He's still the highest paid player. Everybody walks in and goes, that goalkeeper's underperforming, and he's getting 4 times or 5 times what some of the other players. He's getting, 15 times what one of the best midfielders that they have in McTominay is getting at the moment, and that can't be good for dressing room morale. So
100%.
I think it is your Man United fandom. I would definitely stick them in. I think they're going to win this game, but that's why we all have markets. Brighton against Crystal Palace. Not too much to say about this on Monday night. 57% Brighton, 43% Crystal Palace. Palace are awful. If Brighton score, they're going to win. Now, we just need to see if Palace actually had their best player playing, and that might change things, but I've got nothing to say beyond Brighton good, Palace bad.
Yeah, no, 100%. So Brighton are 4-6, the draw 5-2, and Palace are 9-2. It looks like Zaha's going to be out. Brighton's match price is shortened from around 4-5 into 4-6, and Hodgson kind of intimated during the week that he would be out. And just in terms of their record without him, in their last 20 games he hasn't played in, they've lost 18 of them, which is obviously abysmal, and including the last 2 games to Leeds and Burnley. And losing is one thing, but they're playing like a team, I think, who stopped playing with their manager. They lost 2-0 to Leeds, but it could have been a lot worse. And then conceding 3 goals at home to Burnley at home is really criminal, I would say. A couple of those some defensive mistakes. To put that into context, Burnley scored as many goals against Palace as they had in their last 10 away games combined. I think Brighton are playing well here, and I can see them winning comfortably.
Okay,
it's 2-1 on Brighton -1. I think looks a fair bet here.
Look, I know a lot of people will be very reluctant to have an accumulator where you've got to wait until Monday night and the end of that game for it to come through. But don't rule out including this game in your accumulator. That's, if you take one thing away from this week's show, that should be it. A reminder, on next week's Paddy Power Half Hour, we're launching a brand new segment which is aimed at allowing some of you to reclaim a losing bet stake. It's called Near Miss. It does exactly what it says on the tin. If you have a single bet or an accumulator with Paddy Power and it's fallen down because of a dodgy VAR decision, somebody's armpit was offside, Harry Kane has shinned one in, Danny Ings scores off his ass in the 95th minute, don't worry. We might have you covered. It's all about the Premier League, so any losing bet that almost made it and you're feeling sore about are all legit entries. Every week, our crack team will select a bunch of winners. Most will get your stake refunded into your account, but for some lucky punters, we will pay out losing bets as winners if we feel they've deserved it. So you've got to make the deserving case for it to enter. Just after your bet doesn't come off, take a screen grab of your losing bet. Be sure to include your bet slip ID and then send it into us using the hashtag #PPNearMiss on Twitter. Hit us with a DM on Instagram or send your snap to us on WhatsApp 0879 180 180 and we will do the rest. Every Friday at the end of the show, round about now, this time next week, we will announce our first batch of winners. You can see all the terms and conditions on otbsports.com and stay tuned to OTB Social for more. Emmet and Enda, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
The Paddy Power Half Hour on OTB Sports. Minimal contact in stadiums. That shouldn't stop the usual suspects from going down. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.